want to introduce Christie. She'll be speaking today for you guys, and we're excited to see what she has to say. So welcome, Leah.
Alrighty, so a few of you, just a few, have seen a similar presentation. So when I ask for audience participation, if you know the answer from that presentation, maybe don't shout it out. So I will say, Dawson County, I've been here for over 8 years now, and a lot has changed in that 8 years. And if you've lived here for 20 years or your whole life, a lot has changed. I would say that's probably true for if you grew up anywhere else as well. Life changes, that's what happens. But one thing we've really noticed recently, I know you've probably heard me talk about social media, the positives and the negatives at Luncheons. I've mentioned that a few times. We've noticed there are some misconceptions of who we are as a community. So I thought I would take today to kind of review who we are. If you know me, you know that I love statistics, so I'm sorry if I included too many. Just like give me a face or tell me to wrap it up. I will not be offended. But I'm happy to send this presentation to anyone afterwards if you'd like it, or too close. Sorry, I can. Is that better?
Yes.
Okay, I don't want to have you be angry. Here's a little time. Y'all tell me if it gets better. But I want to make sure, really provide some information about who we are. I'm happy to give this presentation, but you'll notice the bottom of the slide I tell you where I come up with the data, so I did not make this up. Yeah.
Toss your hair back up. There you go, because your hair is covering.
Okay, good. There. Sorry, I broke my finger last week, so it's hard for me to adjust. But hopefully, I'm not flicking y'all off, I promise. Don't get offended by this. Really hoping that one's on film. So, okay, let's get into it. First, I wanted to show you, a lot of people see me or they see Melissa because she's our membership director, but often people don't realize how big our team is at the chamber. So I wanted to show you our team. Every chamber that you see is different. Our chamber happens to handle small business and community support, as well as economic development and tourism marketing. So some communities spread all three out over different organizations. Everyone's different, but that's how we are in Dawson County. This is our team. A few of us are here today. Betsy McGriff is our economic development director. In the back, we've got Melissa, our membership director. Brenda's the one who probably most people don't see, but none of what we do would be possible without her. She's our director of operations who holds down the office, and if you've ever had an issue with an invoice or anything, you've probably talked to Brenda. So she is at the office today. Dustin Kern is our director of tourism and events. And then Melody's in the back right there. She really keeps the train running at the chamber, so we are so grateful for her. And then if you've ever stopped at the chamber on Saturday, we don't provide chamber services on Saturday, but we do provide visitor services on Saturday. So Maddie Shadburn keeps the office open on Saturdays. And then if you have been to our office, you have met Giddy, who is the sassiest cat you've ever met. But she is our welcome cat, and we love her. So our mission is cultivating a successful economic environment and quality of life for our businesses and community. And we take that very seriously. So anything we do, if we have a new idea or someone comes to us, we always compare that to our mission. Does it fit our mission and who we are? So as I talk through a lot of this, you might see that tied to our mission. Again, every chamber is different. Big communities like Cobb, they do a lot less of the community side because there are a million organizations that do it. But in our community, we really take that community part very seriously. So who are we as a county? I think probably if you thought in your head right now, think about who do you think we are? What do we look like? How old are we? What's our income like? Because we're about to talk about that. So can you guess the current population of Dawson County? 28, 26.
27.
Now we'll say, hopefully everyone filled out their census. Okay, so it will certainly change. It's going to affect our numbers, so I am not magic and I cannot see into the future, so these are our current numbers. And I will also mention, if you see statistics that Dawson County didn't fill out as many census ballots as other people have, part So, whoever said 26, Carmen, you're right on it. Our population is about 26%, or 26,000, and our predicted annual growth rate is 1.67. I think COVID might speed that up a little bit, but because people are ready to get out of the cities. I was not in the working world at this time, but people tell me that after 9/11, this actually happened a lot too, that people didn't want to be in major cities anymore. They wanted to move, into smaller towns. They felt safer in smaller towns. So this is not a new phenomenon by any means. All right, so we get compared to Forsyth County a lot. We are vastly different communities. Just like we are vastly different communities from Luncheon County or Hall County or any of the 7 counties we touch. But that's one that I hear a lot because, let's be honest, I hear it's a complaint a lot. We're going to be just like Forsyth. Now don't get me wrong, Forsyth does some things well. Their park system, if you have children, their park system is second to none. That's something that's enviable. There's a lot of things maybe they don't do so well, which I'm not going to mention, but I think we all know. So I'm just curious, since 2010, Dawson County has grown by 3,778 people. In that same period, how many people do you think Forsyth has grown by? And whoever guesses the closest, I'm giving a 4-pack of tickets to Corn Maze.
12,000.
Let's see.
10,000.
10,000, 12,000,
8,000.
14,000, 16, 23, 25, 30, 8,000. Y'all ready for this? 68,000. Y'all, that's almost 3 times our population in a 10-year period. So when I say we will never be Forsyth County, even after I'm dead and gone, we will never be Forsyth County. Which is wrong. There is also partly a reason for that that is not in the control of any elected officials or anything like that. But 25% of the property in Dawson County is protected acreage. So when you look at Chattahoochee National Forest, when you look at Dawson Forest, when you look at the core property, that's property that would never be built in. So the only way we could get to a Forsyth-like population is if we built 10-story buildings, which I don't want to speak for the commissioners or the city council, but I don't think either would be too on board with that. I'm seeing some heads shaking that they would not. I know the chamber would not ever be advocating for that either. So rest assured, we will not be Forsyth County. Who do you think was closest on that one?
Me.
I think someone guessed 30. Someone guessed 30. If Michelle guessed 30, she wins the ticket. That's got one for you. So just to cover kind of what we look like as a community, I asked you to think about that in your head. We are predominantly white. Those statistics have shifted slightly, but honestly, not that much. A lot of people think we have a much higher Hispanic population than we do because Hall County does. But we have not seen that trend as much in Dawson County yet. Okay, this one is where I get really nerdy, so bear with me for a minute. You're probably used to seeing household incomes or average household income, median family income, those type of things. I found out when getting ready for this presentation that there's a U.S. Bureau of Economic Analysis, which is the nerdiest thing on earth. I know. But they give some awesome data. And one of those points is that Dawson County has the per capita personal income. So if there's 2 of you in a house, you're making twice this, of $45,201. So when you think of Dawson County, you don't have to answer this out loud, but you can. Do you think of us as a super wealthy county? But I'm guessing you probably don't think of us as a super poor county either. But if you look at where we rank, we're 18th out of 159. We are wealthy in the state of Georgia. And that is a double-edged sword. It's great for all of us in the room who live here, right? It's good that we're all doing well. But when it comes to getting grants and things like that, it makes it very difficult. So that's kind of one interesting factor. Some of you may be thinking, well, that's because retirees move here. Well, that's not untrue. There's a number of retirees, of course, that do move here. Our average age in maybe slightly older than some of the metro counties. They're average in their late 30s maybe, but we're certainly not a retirement-only community. So you can also look just at Georgia's per capita personal income as well as the United States. You've got to remember, the United States is going to be much higher because of places like California, New York, DC, Chicago that are really driving the incomes up. And then I thought this was kind of interesting. They don't break it down per county, but per capita consumption expenditures in Georgia for 2018 was around $36,000. So just think through those and think. And that includes your home, car, all of that. Does that ring true in your household? So we get this question a lot about where our citizens work and also where our workers live. So I'm just going to call you out. Who lives in Dawson County and works in Dawson County? There's a lot of us in this room. We are unicorns, y'all. There are, I believe, 1,800 of us. That's it. So everyone else either lives in another county and commutes in, or lives in this county and commutes out. So if you look, where do Dawson County residents work? Not surprising, the #1 county is Forsyth, Fulton, Gwinnett, Hall, Cobb. I know my husband drives all the way to Fulton every day. I think it's crazy, but thankfully the expansion of 400 made it a little better. But a lot of your neighbors are doing this every single day. So then where do our workers live? To be honest, if you have that average household or that per capita income that we have, your workers are not working minimum wage. And so they have to come in, and we do have a significant number of minimum wage jobs in our community. And so where are they living? And you see where people commute from. Forsyth, Hall. It's pretty crazy how far some people drive. We just wanted to put that in perspective. I know sometimes we have conversations about affordable housing, and everyone has different opinions about it, and I totally understand, but at some point you have to make sure you have the capacity to house your workers, because if they can get a job 30 minutes closer to home and get paid the same amount, that's really like earning more, because they're not paying for gas. And really, I don't know about y'all, but during COVID, I think I learned a lot more the value of time, and that time with your family. And so I think a lot of people are going to start shifting their mentality about whether they want to commute an hour and a half every day, both ways.
Christie, the last line on there is all other locations.
Sure.
27%. Those are all nearby counties. Do people drive from across the state to come
Yes.
here to work?
Yes, so all other locations can mean, at one point we had someone who worked at our post office who lived in Jonesboro, South Atlanta. Can you imagine? I loved her, but I was so excited for her when she moved or when she got changed where she was in the post office, yeah, when she got changed to the post office, because she was spending all that time in her car every day. So yes, all other locations mean further and further away, which I cannot. I mean, you couldn't even pay me a direct Gwinnett County. I mean, you probably have to pay me a solid $3 million a year. There's no job that's paying that, at least not that I would know. So, just something to keep in mind. One thing I'd love to show is talking about some of our resources locally. Linear Tech is one of our best local resources. And while a lot of technical colleges are seeing lower numbers or issues getting students right now, you can see by this graph that Linear Tech is not. They're falling pretty close to normal, and last year really was record-breaking. And so we're pretty proud of everything that's going on there. And they have an excellent relationship with our school system, so they get to serve our students that are still in high school as well. If y'all are not aware, there is a reservoir coming to Dawson County. That is Russell Creek. It is over, if you know where Round Rocky's place is, where the big angel is on the corner. If you go down the Edward River Road, you can't see it from any road that you drive down, but it's kind of in the middle between Seatick and Edward River. The reservoir actually already exists, but it's about to be made much, much bigger. And so when it's finished, and it has been delayed a little bit due to COVID, like everything has been delayed, but when it is finished, it will be able to serve approximately 125,000 people. Which I will say, if anyone remembers the water wars that we had in Florida completely out of their control that are really struggling. But in general, the state of our economy is really great. One thing, I want to show, we are open and trending upward. We've had multiple ribbon cuttings. Christie is on here. We have the pool room last week had a reopening, and then Allstate this week. This week's great. Everything's kind of blending together. But people are really back at it, and we appreciate that. But really, it never stalled in terms of business investment in Dawson County. Kind of slowed down a little bit during the pandemic, but as soon as we kind of got over the first time, people were back investing. So this is another Bureau of Economic Analysis that I'm going to put. But I think this is interesting. You can actually find the GDP for your county, and ours is $8 billion. Just our county. Think about that. Little, I hate to say it, 26,000 people, and we have an $8 billion impact. That's phenomenal. And you look at the state of Georgia, $461 billion. Of course, we have a GDP much higher than many of the countries in the world. People love to hate on Georgia, but we've got a lot of good things happening in our state. So I did want to bring up the outlets. I've heard a lot of questions about the outlets, and I've also seen a lot of commentary, maybe on social media, about the outlets. But I wanted to really talk through what's going on there. There's cycles for a lot of outlets. Ours has beat the cycle. Our outlets is really thriving, and you can see that as West Elm is opening today. They are our new anchor. They are a fresh anchor. If you're not familiar with West Elm, it's a very high-end furniture store. I might be able to afford a pillow in there, but it's beautiful. It's beautiful furniture. So please check them out. But they are the new anchor, which I think, while you're going to see some store turnover, in general, that's just the world we live in right now. We were talking about this morning, I've really been watching what's happening with Brooks Brothers and J. Crew, because that's what my husband and I wear the most. And you see a lot of these huge retailers are having issues. But what's great about our outlets is when something goes out, Saks Fifth or Off Fifth have been struggling for a while. If you've been in that store, you probably noticed. See something come out, and then it's being replaced with something even better. So Versace is coming. Ferragamo is coming. Marc Jacobs, I believe, is already opened. I mentioned West Elm today. And during the pandemic, 6 stores opened. So I can tell you this, and Gucci as well, which started as a Christmas pop-up, they now are full-time stores. Do not invest in the center if they think it's dying. So I know there's been some complaints about the road, paint, I don't know, people love to complain. The landscaping. Let me remind you that Simon Corporate has stores everywhere, and a lot of their centers aren't doing as well as the centers in the South. This is not a political statement. Different parts of the country handled the pandemic very differently. And so because of that, some got to open up sooner, of course, and got to make money sooner. So Simon itself has made lots of corporate cuts, but that is not a direct reflection of what's happening in Dawson County. So I did just want to kind of give some positive news about that, because of course that is our anchor. If you add the stores together, you're talking about 1,600 people that are employed. By far our largest employer in the county. And of course, additional announcements will be coming soon. Also, our loss, which stands for local option sales tax, is through the roof. So this is kind of interesting to me because typically August and September would be high, but not high like this. Now, it is slightly artificially high because about 400,000, give or take a couple dollars. We're part of a state audit where they had to give money back to county and schools. Even if you take $400,000 off that, it's still breaking records. So that's really positive news to everyone. If you live here, your property tax is significantly lower because of the sales tax. And then of course, lost, similar. They're not exactly the same because certain taxes on certain things, but you see this similar trend. Unemployment, this is the one that's fascinating to me. So at the height of the pandemic, we were at 11.7% unemployment. Can anyone think about why we would have been that high? It's okay to say it. there was something called pandemic unemployment assistance, where you could get up to $600 a week on top of Georgia unemployment. Listen, I'm not hating for anyone that took it. It was smart to take it. I convinced multiple college students to take it, because we're going to pay for it the rest of our lives. Just to be honest, we all are. We all know it. Our children will pay for it. Our grandchildren will pay for it. But that encouraged a lot of people to go on unemployment, and it actually caused an issue for a lot of our local businesses because they weren't able to convince their employees to come back because they were making more money on unemployment. We spoke a lot with our senators and representatives about hopefully not renewing that at quite that high level. Because $600 a week in Georgia is a lot of money on top of unemployment. $600 a week in California, probably not. I really wish they'd come up with some type of expense, quality of life, expense scale and apply that, but I know that's too in the weeds for elected officials, I think. But that's why we're seeing this drop. Of course, in July, that ended. And while there is one now, it's not near the $600, so there's not as much of a motivation or incentive to not work. And so now we're seeing 3.7, which in general, Dawson County has historically low unemployment. What does that mean for us? Why should we care that it's 3.7? That means that many of you are trying to hire right now, it's really hard. Has anyone tried to hire? Shake your head. Is it looking difficult? Eric's raising his hand in the back. I know, it's been a nightmare. Because now people are competing. Y'all, we get stories pretty often about people stealing employees from different, especially in the retail centers. They'll go in, how much do you pay? I'll pay you 20 cents. It's kind of crazy. But it's good for employees, right? So there's two sides to every coin. Workforce initiatives are really important to us, and I just wanted to hit on them so that y'all know that they happen. Of course, with pandemics and things have changed up, but we're working on a program called GPS, which is Graduate Pathways for Success, which takes the students who, by their senior year, haven't declared that they're going to go to a technical college or a four-year college or the military. And those are the students that typically stay in their community. And previously, we really haven't had a lot of programming to support them. So we came up with this programming completely free to students. We're going to feed them. We're going to have an OSHA training. We worked with our manufacturers to see what would help. Our manufacturers are some of the highest wages in our county. So what would help them be more attractive as candidates? And then we're going to teach the typical things, right? Interviewing, how to set up a bank account, all of those things. So we are excited. It was supposed to be at the end in May, and now it's going to be in December. So that's going on. Dawson Discovery Day. Some of y'all participated in that, where we brought our academic teachers into our local businesses. They would understand, they might teach Spanish or math, but not realize how applicable some of what they're teaching is to the real world, and also can help them understand, when students are asking them, what do I do next, what opportunities really are out there. Site selection. So, economic development is a real interesting one. Now, there are so many factors that matter when a company is trying to pick where they're going to relocate. And we have this awesome new program, which is site selection. You can check it out at developdawson.org, that will allow anyone, they can be looking for a place at 2 in the morning, and instead of having to call, they can pull any data that they want. They can look at our school system, they can look at where are there trails in the area if they care about quality of life. They can look at how far is the workforce? Are they a trained workforce? All of those things. So if you're a nerd like me, it's time to check that out. I'm going to bring up military. It's another thing I see on social media. No one's going to raise their hand if I say who likes to pay taxes, right? No one likes to pay taxes. I hate taxes. We all hate taxes. Good thing we live in Dawson County then. Because our military, and let me point out, this is 2019's military, because that's what the Department of Community Affairs has. Our 2020 military actually went down in Dawson County. You can see that on the bottom, but comparing 2019, you can see we're right there in the blue. At some point, you get what you pay for. If you look at some of these other counties, look at their school system, look at their parks, look at their community services, there's nothing wrong with living in one of those counties. You might just have have different priorities than what we have in Dawson County. So that's definitely something to think through. I try to mention that a lot to people when they're moving, is always look at your property taxes first. It would shock you how many people move and never even consider it. And then all of a sudden you get a bill and they think, well, I can afford that. So the nice thing is, I have heard some people say that we're more expensive than Forsyth. Not true. I know a couple of y'all live in Forsyth, right? Wouldn't you rather have our millage rate? And this does include the county and the school system. So do keep that in mind. Let's talk about the state of tourism. Who has been to Birds Anywhere today, or this fall already? Birds, Gourmets, Bradley's, Eric has, Quinn has. You didn't hear me earlier, 2-hour line on Saturday. Go during the week. Kind of like at the outlets. Go shopping during the week, not on the weekend. But that is a great thing. So our local tourism impact is $55.35 million. And that is everything from people paying gas, people shopping, people eating, people staying. That's pretty phenomenal for our community. But what really matters to me is the number at the bottom, which says Dawson County households receive $462 in tax relief due to tourism. That's off your tax bill. That's pretty great too, because I love tourists. They come, they spend their money, and they go home. We don't teach your children. We, for the most part, don't have ambulance services for them. They're not being called to a house fire for them. That's awesome, right? So that's the best type of revenue our county can have. So we also have a new website for tourism this year, and I'd love for you to check that out. I don't think it's going to let me pull it because I was going to, and that's fine. I'll send it out. But check out our new website. If you know anyone that's coming to visit, please send them to our website. All our tourism partners, it's completely free, so if you know a tourism partner that's not listed, just have them call us. We can add it that day. That is very important to us. And now I'm going to show off some of Dustin's work. I'm going to show videos. We had a company, the company that does the videos for the state of Georgia tourism, came to our community last fall. I'm going to do hike in first.
The Linfoot Hike In is a backcountry lodge in the middle of the Chattahoochee National Forest. We are the only backcountry lodge in Georgia. We are 5 miles via trail from Amarillo Falls State Park. It's a 5-mile moderate trail, easy for anybody to do. We encourage you to come up and experience what we have to offer here in the middle of the National Forest. Being able to come somewhere like the Linfoot Hike In and spend the night and disconnect and enjoy nature is something we feel everybody should do. The things to do here at the Hike In are to go on our facility tour, where we talk about our LEED certified building and how we operate the inn. Also, we have evening programs and hiking adventures on the Appalachian Trail. From day one, the Hike In was built, designed, and operated to be as environmentally conscious as possible, and that's something we continue to this day. We encourage you to make us part of your next adventure here in Dawson County.
Who's been to the Hike In? Who wants to go now that you've seen the video? It's pretty awesome. Eric, our hike-in director, is in the back. I'm sure he can hook you up, help you get scheduled to go, because it is absolutely beautiful. Next we have Uncle Chuck's Corn Maze, which y'all know is in a new location.
We are at Uncle Chuck's Corn Maze and Pumpkin Patch in Dawsonville, Georgia. There's several things to do here to go to a 13-acre corn maze. The maze design has a little over 5 miles of track, divided into 2 separate lanes, 6 checkpoints in each maze, final checkpoints when you get out. Then we have the other attractions such as our corn cannon. It's a very big hit. You're shooting corn out of the cannon and the target, which if you're the you get 3 shots per dollar, and you're fun no matter what age. And then we get to see Parkers River and the backside of the corn maze when you get out. And then they can spill some energy on the entire mountain and slide. We have gym lining. We have goats we can pet and feed, jumpy pad, good food, festival foods. We have pumpkins of different varieties, different sizes, from half a pound to 50 pounds. We want everyone to get an experience that you really can't get anywhere else. Come to Dawsonville, Georgia, and create your own adventure.
So if you work for the chamber and have a cute child, you end up
Yeah.
putting your child in the video. That's what we're saying. Christie also is in one of our videos with his children, so watch out. We'll call you if you're willing to have a piece of video. Let us know. And then our last one is Forsyth Farms. This is one of our most recent releases that we've done.
We started this about 6 years ago. We planted 1,200,000 sunflowers for the tourists to come through and look at them and turn the kids loose, let them run around and have a little fun in the garden. And people love it.
I just want people to appreciate the outdoors, and you can do it here. You're in the midst of almost 850 acres. So you've got freedom, fresh air, sunshine, you've got it all.
We've got the fire horses over here with a wagon behind it. Two country guys with beards on there will haul you around and we have more peanuts down here. And you can walk along the creek, hummingbirds, flying, butterflies. Sunflowers are $1 a piece.
And you cannot be unhappy in a sunflower field. You have to smile. You cannot frown, you have to smile. We invite you to come to Dawson, Georgia to create your own adventure.
Y'all see Sharon when you see her. But doesn't that make you smile? I'm smiling right now because of Sharon. If you haven't been up there either, it is truly beautiful. And one thing I love about these past two videos you're watching is those are amazing examples of small businesses that are thriving. You know, Sharon and Danny really started because they were no longer doing chicken houses, and she just wanted pretty flowers. If you drive up that way this weekend, it's way more than pretty flowers now. And that's pretty phenomenal to watch. I think that's one of the great things about Dawson County is we have so much opportunity for entrepreneurs to really thrive here. So I hope you will consider going to spend time in any of those. I did want to ask one trivia question. If we're compared to Luncheon County a lot for tourism, right? Everyone thinks of Dahlonega for tourism. So here's my question. We have $55.35 million that's expended due to tourism in Dawson County. What is it in Luncheon County?
42.
75. 49. 35.
So I don't have a slide, I have it on my phone. 44. So most people do assume that it's way more than us. Our tourism generates more dollars. So while they might have more little shops to walk in, they definitely have more hotels and things like that than we do. Our overall tourism profile is very diverse and does generate more revenue. So just wanted to show you that. We hope that you will consider engaging with us. Most people don't realize this, but we have very different social media for Chamber and tourism, because tourism is really trying to attract visitors, and Chamber, of course, we're trying to support small business. So you're on social media. We hope you will follow us and interact with us. We've got some great content tourism-wise this fall that you won't want to miss. And then also, I didn't want to make it its own slide, but of course we mentioned the farmers market earlier. We do hope you'll come out to that, but if you're also someone that grows tomatoes in your backyard or does anything like that that would like to be a vendor, just give us a call, or Louise McPherson is the head of the market as well. I think that's everything I have. Does anyone have any questions about what's going on in Dawson County or what we kind of see for the future? I'm quiet group today.
Is the Benoit Valley River, whatever that is on 400, where they've had 2 or 3 things fall out already, is that back on the block?
Sure, that's a great question. So if you are driving north on 400 and you go through the 53 and 400 intersection, you keep going and you were to turn left on Luncheon Campground, there's a piece of property right there. I love there are children here, that's amazing. That piece of property has come up multiple times. Let me be very clear. The people that are trying to rezone it right now have nothing to do, not one thing to do with people that tried to before. They're not related, they're not trying to pull one over on us. Can you tell that I've heard lots of things in this meeting? They're not all the same. Their plan actually is not at all the same. So I don't want to misquote. They are looking at doing, their project is mostly housing, with the front possibly being small retail. But when I say small retail, I mean shop, that type of thing, not really trying to get other people to come in. And then possibly a fire station, I'm forgetting something, but a very different project. They are going through rezoning now. I really can't tell you one way or the other which way it's gonna go, but they are completely different. That piece of property, I'm just gonna go ahead and say this. If you're on 400, if there's property on 400, it's probably gonna develop at some point. I don't think that should be a big shock. But if you look at anywhere in Georgia where there's 4-lane highway, typically, especially if it's the main artery, you're gonna see development. Sometimes people do act very shocked when things are happening on 400. I think it's one of the blessings of our community. There's everything we need on 400 and right in the city, but then you can drive 3 minutes away and feel like you're in the middle of nowhere. So I moved from a county where I lived in Georgia. I had to drive to Alabama to go anywhere. Walmart, Target, Chick-fil-A, nothing. And so I can tell you, when you have to drive over an hour to get your basic necessities, moving somewhere like this is amazing, because I still get the small town feel, but I only drive 5 minutes. Saves a lot of time. But that's what's really, that project, whether it passes this time around or not, it will at some point. One of the biggest challenges to property in general in Dawson County, but particularly that piece, of course, is our topography. If anyone remembers what the public side of 400 looked like before Publix came, they literally moved a mountain. That was a lot of, I've never seen a project move dirt like that before. And so you have to have someone willing to come in and really move the dirt. That's a issue for us, and it's a challenge, but also an opportunity for us here in Dawson County. But if you're thinking about where development's going to go, it's going to go up 400. Because 53, DOT does not have plans anytime soon to 4-lane 53. I don't know about you, even on my drive here today from 400, I got stuck behind a camper trailer that was going 35. There's nowhere to pass on 53. So we really don't expect development to hit 53. Maybe a few more neighborhoods, but at the chamber we don't do a ton with residential development, but we don't expect that to be the hot spot because it's just not that accessible. Does anyone else have any questions about what's going on? Rumors? Anyone heard a good rumor recently? I heard one this week that bowling alley was coming. No. Not right now, at least. That could change tomorrow, but not today.